Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Well, guys, this is the Express in the UK, and this is talking about the big one that could happen over in New Zealand. And New Zealand's part of the Ring of Fire, and it's a very, very active area as well. And, really just to the northwest is where you have Indonesia that's been getting hit so hard in every way possible, it seems. And so this one is talking about scientists revealing that a mega tsunami with a 6-minute warning is an imminent threat. And that sounds pretty, it can make you a little apprehensive, to say the least. Scientists have urged government officials to prepare for a terrifying and unprecedented magnitude 9 megaquake that would unleash a deadly tsunami with 30-meter high waves. And we've been talking about things like this on a daily basis. And there's a reason, because we're seeing so much activity across the world. This is Dr. Laura Wallace, and she is with the New Zealand Geoscience Society. And she has said that this tsunami potential is there, and it could have waves of up to basically 90 feet high. And they basically are saying that this could be even worse than what we saw with the Japanese quake and tsunami of 2011. So New Zealand, again, this is another area that's very active, and anybody down in that area, you just have to be aware of these things and the potential. And so there's some animation that could give you a little bit better understanding of what we're talking about. And as always, I will leave you guys links to everything that's going on. And there's a lot going on. And so this is not good, and this is up in Alaska. Earthquake vulnerability. Kodiak City Council says many of their tsunami warning sirens aren't working, as many as 50 to 60%. That's not good. So you might want to get those taken care of, guys, up there. Now, going to what's happening weather-wise now, we have a powerful winter storm leaving 9 people dead, thousands stranded on roads across the U.S. As you see some pictures there of a mess going on. And this winter storm named Gia, all the storms got names now, and so the Weather Channel is calling it Gia. Pummeled parts of the Midwest on the 11th and the 12th, causing hundreds of road accidents, claiming the lives of at least 9, and leaving thousands stranded on the roads. Gia will continue shifting east off the Carolina coast through January 13th. Heavy snow will continue over portions of the Mid-Atlantic, while freezing rain is expected for the western Carolinas into southern Virginia. The snow and the ice is going to contribute to slick travel tonight. Meanwhile, several storm systems will batter the west coast over the next week with heavy rain, mountain snow, and rough surf, very rough surf. This storm dumped snow and ice on parts of the Midwest, causing significant traffic disruptions. Between 6 and 12 inches registered in Kansas City to St. Louis and Indianapolis. Some of those were the worst affected areas. Some areas received up to 18 inches. So pretty good storm going on there. As you could see, basically the area that it's impacting here. And then California is bracing for mudslides, flooding as the storm onslaught is going to continue this week. And we had talked about that conveyor belt going on out there. So you're going to see really no relief in a series, or as they're saying, a parade of storms coming on into the West Coast. Now over here, they're talking about along the East Coast, rainy days, high tides, and sea rise make floods a part of life. Sea levels are rising along the East Coast, and the sea is rising highest in the Mid-Atlantic. As we see a little cartoon there with a little boy that looks kind of sad there. Flooding is becoming a way of life along the Mid-Atlantic. Yes, that is for sure. This past year, that has most definitely been the case. But we're seeing such intense rainstorms that are giving us sometimes as much as 6 months to a year's worth of rain in just one storm, in just a matter of days or even hours. So it's really, things have ramped up big time. We could definitely say that. In Atlantic City, New Jersey, residents along one street deal with ankle-deep floodwaters on a rainy day, even with higher floodwaters arriving with every new moon. In southern Virginia Beach, Virginia, a bit of rain and a strong wind from the south is enough to bring water from the Back Bay onto farmland. And in Norfolk's Hague neighborhood, high tides spill water from Elizabeth Creek into the streets, making roads impassable, damaging cars, and snarling traffic. Flooding has become so common that Norfolk resident Kikonda Baker says residents will cancel plans if rain is in the forecast. It's becoming where people have to plan around water. Those in the Chesapeake Bay area say flooding has become an increasingly persistent problem in the last 2 decades. Scientists say things will only get worse as the area is ground zero for the rising seas on the East Coast. Sea levels have risen across the entire coast, but nowhere as high as the Mid-Atlantic region. And experts say the trend will only accelerate because of climate change, putting coastal residents from North Carolina to New Jersey at increased risk of flooding. And so from 1900 to 2017, sea levels rose by about 1.5 feet along the Chesapeake Bay, compared to 1 foot in New York City and Miami, according to a December 2018 study by researchers at Woods Hole in Massachusetts. And this is, interesting to see, and many people don't believe in the global warming hypothesis. And then we have the grand solar minimum hypothesis, and then we have there's other factors hypothesis going on as well, including the potential for a lot of this being truly man-made in a way other than just carbon emissions. And then also the potential that there is something along the lines of Wormwood, Nemesis, Nibiru, Planet X, something like that, which is causing all the changes that we're really seeing on the planet. The oceans are heating up 40% faster than scientists realized, which means that we should prepare for more disastrous flooding and storms. And so, this is talking about pretty much the same thing we were just talking about. And so this means that sea levels could rise by 1 foot by 2100, and higher sea levels contribute to costly coastal flooding and cause hurricanes to be more severe. Last year was most likely the warmest year on record for the Earth's oceans, up from 2017 and 2016, according to one of the study's authors. And so, listening to that statement, and that reminds me of actually looking at the temperatures in the Atlantic, which were last year, from what I remember seeing most of the time, a little bit cooler than typical. Not necessarily the Pacific, but the Atlantic was. So this is what I mean with, we get a lot of stuff as far as info that's kind of, contradictory at times, and it just makes you be very suspicious about everybody. Any numbers that they throw out there, I'm always suspicious of them, because you have both sides there claiming, look, and as we're going to see, there's some evidence right here that we're going to be looking at shortly that is evidence the other side, the grand solar minimum people are going to be saying, hey, look at this. Regardless, we have intense change. We have much severer, stronger storms than we've had in the past. We have not seen flooding like we've seen in this past year in any of our lifetimes, really, on such a persistent basis as well. So it's interesting to watch all this. And so the numbers they're quoting here don't come from Woods Hole. They're coming from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So, and it's talking about the Earth's oceans absorbing a whopping 93% of the extra heat that greenhouse gases trap in the atmosphere. And remember, there's a lot of methane being released in many areas, permafrost up in Siberia and Alaska, Canada. And methane is far more potent than the carbon emissions and far more fast-acting. And that definitely has a huge impact. So the one thing that we know is there is intense change. The storms are getting worse. They're getting stronger. And we're seeing the lives of the average people around the world impacted more and more all the time. And so out of the watchers, at least 26 killed in weather-related incidents across Europe. New Arctic outbreak sets in. And so the weather pattern's definitely changing. Here it wasn't so bad. Still mostly high 40s, low 50s. Overall, it hasn't been really that cold here, although we did have that one big snowstorm. We haven't gotten any snow from this particular storm. The weather pattern has definitely changed in Europe, and they definitely are getting much colder weather over there, and in some areas they're getting pulverized with snow. So you have at least 26 people that have been killed in weather-related incidents across Europe in the past 10 days as freezing Arctic air and snowstorms sweep in over the continent. This is not the end, however, as another Arctic outbreak aims East Central Europe for early next week as well. And so 3 skiers, 2 ski patrollers have been killed in the Alps over the weekend. And most of the deaths occurred due to snow avalanches after the heavy snow. Bodies of the 3 German skiers were recovered near the ski resort of Lechtem, Arlberg. Authorities said, adding that a 4th person who was with them still remains missing. And so, yeah, for sure, Austria, tons of snow. We got some videos for you guys here, too. Austria is getting buried. Accumulation totals hitting 500 centimeters in the next few days. So we see some of the pictures here. Look at these guys clearing the snow off the roof. That snow's got to be, I don't know, 8 feet deep, 9 feet deep. Wow. And that looks really pretty when you get down to it. So tremendous amounts of snow coming in now as we watch the map and the snow grow. And this is out of Electroverse again. Talking about Europe bracing. Now we have Germany and Austria declaring states of emergency. The army has actually been deployed to areas dubbed, quote-unquote, frozen hell. Snowfall of more than 2 meters has crippled Turkey, Italy, and Greece also, where work and school has come to a standstill for vast regions. Poland hasn't fared much better, nor has the Ukraine and the Scandinavian nations as well. As you see, look at them go, clearing off the snow there. Tanks roll in to frozen hell. That's a heck of a title there. And future flood warning means 45,000 properties in Northern Ireland are at risk. So, and these are properties that are at risk of flooding as the country braces for stormier and more extreme weather. Danger over the coming years will be caused by heavy rainfall, rivers bursting their banks, and high coastal waters. And so, had a nice little conversation with a friend I hadn't talked to in a while, and they've been on again, off again about going to Florida, and from Ohio, and so now they're on again. And before, when I was saying, "Yeah, come on down, join us in the sun," they weren't. Now, I'm like, well, you might want to rethink it because, they're looking for a property very close to the shore. And, there's a lot of areas I think the properties are going to be impacted tremendously, the property values. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Of course, if you have property right on the shore, you don't want to hear that. And you really want to kind of not think about things like this. But as we run into more and more of these storms, I mean, look at Hurricane Michael, look at Florence, right? You have a lot of people that are probably thinking, do I want to go through this again? Do I really want to do this again? Or maybe it's time to think about something different. And, some people are going just simply more inland and staying in the same area, general area, just getting away from the coast. And others are just going for a whole new way of life and going to totally, totally different areas. But it's something to consider because, there's definitely increased financial risk as well as, risk to your own well-being as well. Super double bombogenesis explodes in the Northwest Pacific Ocean, producing hazardous conditions across the Pacific. And we were talking about the crazy waves Gigantic waves up to 56, almost 57 feet off the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. And as this says, it's not a simple bombogenesis on January 10th, 2019. No, the weather got even more extreme when an extratropical cyclone exploded in a super double bombogenesis, deepening an amazing 58 HPA in 24 hours and producing winds up to 92 miles an hour. And that sounds, I would not want to be on a boat in that area. 92 mile an hour winds and 56 feet tall waves. Yeah, no thank you. And I really feel for anybody that was caught in that, but that would definitely be an exciting ride, to say the least. You know, what we're seeing here is really, it's kind of amazing to see the power of the storms. And it seems like when I say amazing, some people will always have to say, why are you amazed? You know what's going on, don't you? Well, yeah, I know what's going on, but still, when you look at it, sometimes you're still like, you just have those moments where you say, you know, holy crap, you know, just at the intensity of what we're seeing here. And even though we know, you know, that we are in a different time frame now and things are getting kind of more severe, most definitely more severe, still at times it could make you say just simply, holy crap. And we've seen a ton of asteroids, and a good friend of mine locally here actually saw a daylight fireball yesterday that sounded incredibly spectacular over around Waynesville, which is about a half hour west of Asheville. And a spectacular daylight fireball, amazing sighting. Thought they had the video, but it didn't come out for some strange reason, or perhaps it was removed by the powers that be, as sometimes happens. So another asteroid 2019 AE9 flew past Earth at 0.26 lunar distances. So that's another pretty close call, basically like about a quarter of the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Second known asteroid to fly by the Earth within 1 lunar distance since the start of the year. And it comes just 4 days after a very close flyby, a very, very, very close flyby of 0.04 lunar distance. And so this is the Nokomis drum circle, and they are weathering the red tide, which unfortunately is back already, and that's definitely not a good sign. But that's a great hat. Look at that hat. Isn't that awesome? And so, you know, Nokomis, this is my old hometown. So this is where I was enjoying life down in Florida until the red tide made it better to get away. And this is, you know, this is really what people, I don't think, maybe fully understand. I know a lot of you guys do, but the majority of the population that just, you know, doesn't really look into things. So when my doctor didn't like the ragged noises he heard with his stethoscope during a routine physical in September, he said we need x-rays. Maybe you got bronchitis. Now, this person's a cancer survivor, so they saw tombstones instead. The radiologist called the next day and announced the pictures were clean. What, no bronchitis? The radiologist said no, all clear. Then what? Have you, he wondered, been to the beach lately? The beach? Yeah, of course. What else? I had been drawn to the red tide disaster the same way homeowners wander into the immediate aftermath of a hurricane, taking stock of a world broken and rearranged in spectacular fashion by natural forces. Eyes watering, lungs sandpapered from the inhalation of breath toxin, and who knows what else. I knew at first whiff it was pretty stupid to be walking around amidst all that rotting stench. I'd seen the videos, the photos, read the stories. You really don't need an airbag to explode in your face to understand car wrecks are bad. And with the death tolls that included sea turtles, dolphins, manatees, even a 26-foot-long whale shark on Sanibel, it was impossible to resist bearing witness. 40 years in this state, I'd never seen anything like the proportions and duration of the slaughter here in Southwest Florida. And so, I still hear from people all the time, it happens all the time. Oh, it happens every year. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. This is not the same as what usually comes through. The loss of life as far as sea life is just tremendous. This has been way more intense than typical. So each week the Gulf of Mexico seemed to puke a new species onto the shore, often as far as the eye could see: eels, blue crabs, calico crabs, remoras, batfish, starfish, sheep's head. It goes on and on and on. Not even the seabirds could take it. In early December, I saw turkey vultures ravaging the remains of a catfish. Turkey vultures on the beach. But the worst of it, that is if you weren't born with gills or flippers, as we see some photos from the Nokomis Drum Circle. And it's definitely a good happening, and a beautiful sense of community that exists, not only in Nokomis, but down in Venice and also in Sarasota as well. So for the first time in some 20 years of its existence, the Nokomis Drum Circle, my Saturday night stress reliever, declared an open-ended moratorium on beach performances because it was too dangerous to dance on the sand anymore. And that's really sad. Really sad. And but unfortunately, this is a changing world that we live in, and that's a happy face right there. And we have to adjust, and we have to watch out for our health and our well-being as well, and do what's necessary to keep our good health and well-being. So my friends, as always, thumbs up to support the channel. Please do subscribe, click the bell, get all notifications, share with as many people as possible. Let's wake people up. As always, my friends, may you be blessed with abundant peace, love, good health, happiness, and stay safe out there. God bless. Namaste.